Hello and welcome. You're viewing the Citizens Journalist podcast, Mesa County Compass, that brings you the news that you can use from a different point of view. I'm Ruth.
I'm Lisa.
And together we are Mesa County Compass. Our goal is to create an informed, current, active citizenry armed with the facts. We will be covering what's new to you, what it means to you, what you can do about it, and provide you access to the decision makers when we can. Hello and welcome this afternoon to Mesa County Compass. Our podcast this afternoon is with Amy Tucker, who is the HALT, the Dolores River Project. So we would like to greet you, Amy. Thank you very much for being here. And what got you involved in this process?
Oh my goodness. So this is my community. We are a coal transition community. We're actually a tier 1 coal affected community. There's about 4 in the state of Colorado. I got into economic development because I wanted to do a little Main Street beautification and, help businesses grow. But I got handed a coal transition community. And so we've been working on those economic diversification processes. And then just this last fall, I got handed the Dolores River National Monument proposal. And so that would pretty much force feed us into being a recreation industry. And we are not okay with that. We've been working really hard on diversifying our economy away from a single industry. And so this has just put a stone wall to all those efforts. And so I'm trying to stop it. And the state of Colorado has promised us through legislation that we could drive our own economic transition, just and inclusive transition away from coal. So I'm going to hold them to that.
Okay, and I guess maybe we need to know where you're from. You're not from Grand Junction.
I'm not from Grand Junction. I'm actually from Nucla.
Uh-huh.
When I was in kindergarten, the uranium mill and the mines all closed.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to move to California with a lot of other families. And we were able to get a job my sophomore year of high school and come back. And my dad worked at the coal mine.
Okay.
Till it closed, of course, in 2018. And then he went ahead and retired early. But yeah, no, I've been really involved in my community. My husband and I have 2 Main Street businesses and then a contracting company. And we're raising our family there. We like it. It's quiet.
Right.
For now.
For now. Till 500,000 visitors come through, That's what the people there do not want this. And so I just have a voice, and we worked really hard on our economic transition. And so, no, I'm not going to stand for this.
And how do you see that what they propose will change Nucla and will change that whole area? And why is it bad?
It's bad because it's going to take away all of our mining capabilities, all of our exploration activities. So this is the Year-Van mineral belt. We have vast supply of uranium and vanadium. And just this week I think it was Monday, the Senate passed the banning of Russian uranium imports bill. The House passed it in December, and then the Senate passed it. So, that's going to open up a whole nother domestic supply chain for the United States. Mm-hmm. And so we want that as part of our economy. We don't want to be a single industry. We want everything to be a part of it. As far as, recreation, we definitely methodically created our recreation areas, our trail development. So this is just one part of something that we want for our community. We're trying to replace the coal community jobs, the coal plant and the coal mine jobs, which were really good paying, excellent benefits, excellent retirement. These were family sustaining jobs. And I don't want to change that with, service industry jobs, housekeepers and waiters and waitresses. That's not what we need there. When our coal plant and our coal mine closed, our fire department lost 65% of our property taxes. Our local tax districts, our local nonprofits lost a lot. We've got businesses closing left and right. So this is the promise that the state of Colorado made to my community, is that we get to drive our own economic transition, and we want those mining and exploration jobs part of that portfolio. And so we're we're not okay with being force-fed a recreation industry. A 500,000 acre
That's a
monument.
lot of land. I have also heard a rumor, and as far as I know, it's just rumor, but maybe you can verify it, that there has been lithium discovered in that area as well. And if so, that would be a huge driving factor for keeping the mining industry going to help support the EVs that are becoming so popular.
It's lithium salt in the Paradox Basin. Not only that, we have barite, we have fluorspar, we've got copper. We have a whole bunch of critical minerals, classified that way by the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense. And so it's not just uranium. Vanadium is a critical mineral.
Right.
And so is barite and fluorspar. There's about 35 of them. But uranium, they tested under that methodology because of its reliance on foreign adversaries. So, I mean, technically it's a critical mineral, but it's not technically a critical mineral. So we have an abundance. We also have a treaty, a pact with Mexico that we have to remove salt from the Dolores River before it hits the Colorado River. So this is something that's going to affect the salinity project in Paradox Valley. We take out about 130 tons of salt from the Dolores River. But this national monument encompasses all of that, this proposal. And so, that's a concern. How are we going to get that salt that we have this pact with Mexico to get rid of out of the Dolores River if we have a monument?
How many people really understand that fact? That's
Not
the thing
much.
that I'm hearing is people just want, the beauty and everything of the national parks. To me, I see dollar signs, and that's all I see out of it. I don't see the beautification that they're talking about.
It's the boating industry seems to be a big push behind this. And there's no water. The water is allocated out of McPhee for the ranchers and farmers in Dolores County and Montezuma County. So it seems to be a big push by these groups. There's about 13 environmental organizations in this coalition that's pushing this, and a lot of them are boating advocates. So they want the water. The water's already allocated. So, good luck getting the water, but that would be their ultimate goal. The Dolores River, we only have enough snowpack to run maybe 3, 5, 10 years. It doesn't happen very often. In 2023, we had a big influx because we had a good snowpack.
Good year.
And that's fine. It's beautiful. We loved it. Okay, well, that's not going to happen every year. So why are you pushing a monument onto my community if that's something that's not going to happen every year? This monument is just another avenue for federally reserved water rights and their fight with McPhee and the farmers over there that have the senior water rights out of the reservoir.
That's another thing that I have heard. This is again gossip. I know nothing about it for a fact, but I have heard that once it retains, if it does, monument status, McPhee Reservoir's gone.
That's their ultimate goal, I think, is to get rid of McPhee. They say it's for the fish. Okay, the sucker fish. That's what they're trying to save is the sucker fish. So let's just totally decimate my community because of a sucker fish. No, the sucker fish are going to be fine. It's definitely the water. They want to ride the wave down the Dolores River, so they want that gone. They want McPhee gone. They hate McPhee. They hate that those Farmer Brown down the road has got more say-so in the water in McPhee than they do, and they make more money with their rafting and boating industry. And people, raft it and paddle down it right now. They float on their little tubes, and to have that come to like a commercialized permit process. You get too many people on the river, you're going to have a permit system. So they're just really, hurting themselves, shooting themselves in the foot.
It seems to me like, they're talking out of both sides of their face. And I don't understand exactly what their logic is, because if you remove the dams, you also remove the farmers' right to go to irrigate their crops, which do sustain those people that are rafting down the river. It's just a catch-57.
Well, and they hate that prior
Can't eat
appropriation.
the raft. Right.
The prior appropriation bothers them. The first-in-time, first-in-right Colorado water law. They are a real big push for that public doctrine of water rights. You'll see that in their videos. I'm like, oh, that's an advertisement for public doctrine of water. So the round table is going to decide who gets the water that year, and and so yeah, they hate that those pre-compact water rights, those farmers have got more rights to that water, and that's why the NCA in Montezuma, Dolores, and San Miguel County took so long, 15, 20 years to negotiate. Is
Okay,
the water.
you've got to go back and tell us who the NCA is and
okay.
what they do.
Okay, so the National Conservation Area is sitting in the Senate right now. So Boebert introduced legislation, and then Bennett and Hickenlooper also introduced legislation. It was agreed upon. Stakeholders came to the table. The ranchers, the miners, the water districts, the conservation groups, the environmental groups all came to the table and negotiated this over 15, 20 years. And so they introduced legislation. So what happened is, once these conservation groups figured out that they weren't going to get the wild and scenic designation, the water that they wanted out of the McPhee, they started working on this monument. And it's a monument for the entire Dolores River. So if this NCA does not go through, they've got a backup plan, a nice little monument proposal for the entire Dolores River, all 5 counties. So this NCA for the 3 counties is what's on the table, and then this monument proposal for Mesa and Montrose County is what they're pushing. But if that NCA doesn't go through, they've got a proposal ready to go.
Okay, so who is, you said there's voters proposing this. What's the timeline on this monument, and who is backing it, who's not backing it? And
there's about 13 or 14 groups in this coalition. The Dolores River Boating Advocates is one of them, the big one. They are in charge of pushing this whole thing. Sheep Mountain Alliance out of Telluride is another big one that's pushing this. Colorado Wildlands Project, which is out of Grand Junction, is pushing this. Let's see, the San Juan Citizens Alliance is pushing this. I've got a list somewhere. But yes, they are pushing this. And what they did is they went all over the state of Colorado 2 years ago and started pushing this national monument. And of course, my community was the last to know about it.
okay.
Gateway just found out about it on February 16th, so they were basically the last to know. So yeah, instead of starting in the middle where the epicenter of this monument would be, they went everywhere else to garner support, and then we'll talk to you. And their plan is third quarter of this year. They want to do it before Biden gets out of office. They are calling on Biden left and right to get this monument done.
And what will it take to stop it?
I don't know. Me kicking and screaming and throwing a fit?
Yeah.
That's all we can do. We can, get awareness. Obviously, the Department of Energy and their need for critical minerals is huge for us, for our cause. The Department of Energy also has their uranium leasing down there. They've got a bunch of tracks. They've got about 31 tracks down there, 29 that are actively leasing. So the Department of Energy has a huge stake in this. Of course, as of 3 weeks ago, the Department of Energy had no idea that this monument proposal was even a thing. Of course, we brought it to their attention. Same thing with like CDOT and Colorado Parks and Wildlife. I don't think the Department of Defense knows. So all of these stakeholders were definitely left out of the process. This little coalition just wanted to throw it on Biden's desk and have him sign it without talking to anybody.
And so Biden is the only one that would make the decision. He doesn't have to go through Congress. He doesn't have to go...
Right. They want a presidential proclamation. They do not want to go through Congress. If they went through Congress for a national monument proposal, then they would have to talk to us. They would have to negotiate. They would have to have scientific studies. Let's have some scientific studies, but they don't want to, because they're going to find out that they have all these critical minerals in the middle of nowhere with a community that is supportive of the mining industry. Those are remarkable values to us. Is to have a community that's supportive, that wants to mine it. We have the critical minerals sitting in the ground. Our country and our world need critical minerals. The one thing that happened with the Senate passing this bill this week is, under a deal struck with the lawmakers, this opens up the whole door for domestic supply of critical minerals. So this little group doesn't want us to mine. They don't like the uranium. And the safety standards in the United States, I know, are better than Russia and Kazakhstan and China. What kind of a worker and environmental standards are they going by over there? I know that we can do it better here. We have workers that want to do it. We have a community that's supportive. We have a county that's supportive. And we have, we've offered to our mining and our, these environmental groups, good neighbor agreements. You don't think that our mining companies are doing the right thing? I guarantee you I'm going to be the first one in line to yell at them if I think that they're doing something wrong. But these good neighbor agreements, bring those groups together, the mining company and the environmental groups together, and to make sure that everybody's following the rules and that it's not just litigation, that we can all come together at the table and say, here's what we'd like you to do with, the water, and here's what we'd like you to do as far as barriers go and fencing and, things like that. So there are options, for these groups and the mining companies to get together at a table and figure this out. But just to throw a monument proposal on President Biden's desk and tell us no, is not the way to do it.
So Senator Hickenlooper had a listening session at CMU. What was that all about, and what would it do?
He had one in Natarita the day before. He also had 2 private meetings. I was at the private meeting in Natarita the day before, and so I didn't speak at the public meeting in Natarita, but I did speak at the public meeting in Grand Junction. What was funny about the thing, in the audience, it was about half and half for the monument, half against the monument. But the people that were for the monument got there early and stacked the lines. So the people that were against the monument, that showed up on time, not 2 hours early, weren't able to speak. Because we only had an hour. And we had 2 minutes each person. I got there about 45 minutes early. And so I threw my daughter down, my signs, my purse, and I jumped in line. And so I was in line for 45 minutes before it was even time to start, and another 45 minutes before it was even my turn to speak.
I was there at that meeting. I saw that, yeah.
Hickenlooper did notice that they did that, and he called him out on that, and I commend him for that. That was awesome. He said, no, let me hear from, people that are opposed to it. He saw that they stacked those lines, and then they were trading people. So they, somebody would sit down and save their place in line, and those blue shirts were everywhere. But he noticed it, and I think, that credibility and that integrity, is huge. And I think Hickenlooper really recognized that they were pretty sneaky about that and pretty mean about letting us speak our piece. They should have done a pro and con line and then just took turns.
Right.
Hindsight, But
well, if in fact it does come around again, because he did say that there would be another meeting or 2 before this came around, perhaps then you can get in and say, look, this is what we need, a pro and a con line, and go back and forth then. Yeah. So I think that would be a just and fair way of doing things. Another thing that I did hear you say, apparently it was you, because I did ask you this before we got here on the camera, is the fact that these people have floated the Dolores River, have been doing all this recreating around there because it's so beautiful and so nice. What makes them think that the National Monument status is going to make it any better?
That's it. It's an anti-mining campaign.
That's
it really
absolutely
is.
What it is.
It is. The BLM is already protecting these lands. There's 2 massive wilderness study areas. And then from the Mesa County line all the way past Gateway into the state line is a special recreation management area along the river. So there's no mining, no drilling, no exploration in that area of the river anyway. And then in the Paradox Valley on the north side of Highway 90, it's called an extensive special recreation management area. There's no mining, no exploration, no drilling there anyway. So, we've got the BLM, just their basic protections, which they're doing a good job down there. We've got wilderness study areas. We've got special recreation management areas. We've got extensive special
So you don't need any more government regulation.
We don't. No. The BLM does a good job of managing multi-use. And I asked the BLM, have these groups come to you with any problems? Do you see any problems that need to be, rectified? These groups have not come and said, we think you're mismanaging these lands and we don't think you're doing your job and this and this and this needs to be done, but they haven't done it. So for them just to say, oh, the BLM is mismanaging and misaligning, nothing is misaligned, nothing's mismanaged. The BLM is doing fine. They have their public comment, they have their management plans. The communities can comment on those. Stakeholder engagement. It is 100% an anti-mining campaign.
And who do you think's behind that? Because we know that the boaters want to have that, but the boaters, are they behind the anti-mining, or is it
It's this whole
bigger
group. It's this whole group. Sheep Mountain Alliance out of Telluride is a big anti-mining environmental organization. They are constantly at the San Miguel County meetings, complaining against the mining activities, the exploration activities that are already happening. They've always got something to say. When we were trying to get the mill built back in 2008, they were first in line to complain and yell. And as soon as any activity, as soon as those uranium prices, as soon as that uranium market starts to go up, these environmental organizations come in and smack our faces in the dirt and say, not today. It's just a constant bombardment by them as soon as that uranium market goes up.
So do they have a certain period of time? Because you said by third quarter is when they'd like to have Biden sign this.
His legacy.
Why is that date out there so far? As it seems like they would want it sooner, or is there something standing in their way for
It's
getting
the
that
election.
signed?
It's the election. It would be his legacy. This 30 by 30 America the Beautiful initiative. It would be Biden's legacy to lock up all these mines, lock up all these public lands, for energy development. And that's what's so disheartening about it is all these monuments and all these designations are locking up energy development for the United States. So our energy independence is at stake here. And energy independence is national security. So, if we're relying on all these other countries for our energy, that makes us so vulnerable. But that's what these groups are doing, is they are pushing to lock up any energy development in the United States. And so it's a scary position to be in, but hopefully, we've thrown a big enough fit. And hopefully, with the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense needing critical minerals, that'll go into our favor. Obviously, it didn't work down there in Grand Canyon. Those mining companies down there that are, had valid and existing claims are able to, until they start shutting the roads down and not letting them access their mines. That's a big thing is these groups are saying, oh no, valid and existing claims are fine, they're fine. No, they're not. We've proved time and time and again against their data. First it was 95% are outside the boundary, now it's 85%. Well, we're down to 60 maybe. But that's just the ones that BLM says are active. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that are under review, have been filed, have been submitted. That valid and existing claim is let's define that then, because they can't define that. They don't want to define that valid and existing claim because they want to get it changed later on. That mining law of 1872 drives them nuts too. But yeah, no, this would be Biden's legacy, his America the Beautiful legacy. And so that's what they're pushing for is third quarter of this year.
Okay, so those that favor the monument, you said half were in favor. Can you give us two of their arguments that they made as to why this would be so important to do here and now?
It cracks me up. They say, oh, the biodiversity needs protected, and the paleontology, and the ancient ruins, and all of our historic places. Our historic places are already protected, and they're maintained. They're maintained by our local historical society. They're maintained by the BLM, the Interpretive Association of Western Colorado, this Uniweep Scenic Byway. So our historic places are already protected. So we don't need any help with that. But they have all these buzzwords of biodiversity. Okay, exactly what? They have pretty pictures of lizards and snakes in their biodiversity study. I could have whipped out that biodiversity study in an afternoon off of Wikipedia. It was just a joke. So they have all these, buzzwords, values and the beauty. Yeah, it's beautiful now because of the multi-generational people that have lived there and have taken care of it. So yeah, they have a lot of buzzwords, but it's mostly, about their wonderful boating trip they had down the river is what it was.
How does this affect the Indian tribes, the Ute Indian tribes?
Ooh, good question. Have they even been asked? Those
That's
are the
what I'm
people that
wondering.
should have been asked first. They haven't. Those are the people that should have been asked first. And that was one thing at Club 20 that was said. Well, we still need to, get the Indian tribes, opinions on this. You should have gotten their opinions 2 years ago when you even thought about this. Like, how dare you leave them out of the conversation till the very last? Or they have
been left
or
out of the conversation
all over the place
for hundreds of years.
Yes. And so it's like, it's not just, my community, it's a whole, Mountain Ute tribe, that has been left out of the conversation. And they have, water rights, in that Dolores River. And they have, rights to have a say-so in what happens on this land. And so, where are they? And why were they not solicited for input first?
Have you been talking to any of them?
I have not. We've reached out. I don't know what they're thinking. They were definitely in the conversations of the National Conservation Area. And they were good with the National Conservation Area. They were able to protect their allocated water rights out of McFree Reservoir for their tribes.
There you go.
For their people's lands.
So if
their
McPhee
farms.
goes away, their water rights are gone.
Yes.
So has anybody approached them with that possibility? I think
I'm
it
sure
needs
they
to be
know.
done.
I'm sure they know. I'm sure they're watching. And
maybe they need to go on a warpath.
yeah. They need to be solicited for input. They should have been first. They should have been first.
Okay, that's what I was wondering because I wondered
The
how that
people
would
in
affect
Denver
them.
and Thornton and Boulder and Steamboat should have been last. The people in Southwest Colorado should have been first.
Okay. So I thought, well, is there anything else that you really want to put forward? Lisa, do you have other questions?
I was going to say capsulize all of the problems with this one more time. So in your opinion, what are the most important things that are a reason to save this from being a monument?
We don't have the infrastructure to even support any influx of visitors. We can barely flush our toilets now. We don't have any short-term rental. We've got a few, but not enough to sustain. What worries me is 500,000 people visiting the Colorado National Monument or Moab are going to drive the 30 minutes to visit the Dolores River National Monument. We don't have the emergency services to even go look for these people when they get hurt. These bucket listers is what I call them, that just want to come and take a selfie and then go home. So those visitors that don't have any respect for the land and don't appreciate the solitude are going to be the ones that are going to be, graffitiing our petroglyphs and are going to, pull our dinosaur tracks out of the earth. Those are the people that we are really afraid of. The people that visit it now love it for its mystery and for its solitude. But the fact is that between Gateway and the west end of Montrose County, my community, we were promised by Governor Polis, by the state of Colorado, and by the Office of Just Transition that we could drive our own economic transition. And so that is what my community and I are standing by. Is we've been planning this. We have processes and programs in place, and we've worked really, really hard. And we want them to step in and say, knock it off. This community says no to this monument proposal. We have committed ourselves to this community and the other tier 1 communities in Colorado. So another caveat of this is the Comanche 3 plant in Pueblo wants to go nuclear. So does the Craig plant. They want to go nuclear. They're tier 1. Where's the uranium going to come from to run those nuclear power plants? Well, looky here. Another tier 1 coal-affected community that wants to mine uranium. Why can't we? Why is the state of Colorado not stepping in defense of everything that they promised us.
Is there any legal action you could take?
I'm looking into that for sure. Yep. No, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt first and hoping that they step forward and really honor their promises that they made to my community. But, this isn't the only community that this is happening to. This is happening to 24 other communities, national monument proposals all over the western United States. So it's definitely damaged a lot of communities. Not having the local input, not having those local stakeholder groups and, the scientific studies, closing down roads, hurting our ranchers and their allotments. All of those things are coming into play in all the national monuments and all the proposals all over. And so the devastation that has been done to these communities because of a presidential proclamation, if this happens, all of those communities, I think, will come together and fight this. And the Supreme Court is going to have to look at it eventually. Because if we throw a fit and we're loud enough, they're really going to have to sit down and look at the abuse of the Antiquities Act that has happened over the years.
Well, good luck. Amy, where can we get in touch with you, or where could people find out more information?
So it's www.haltthedoloresmonument.com or info@haltthedoloresmonument.com. We are in newspapers, we're on Facebook, we're all over. I will not give out my personal cell phone. Sean Pond gives out his. I'm like, I'm not going to. We're also on change.org. We've got a petition, and we're really trying to hit that 10,000 petition mark, and we're close.
Great.
But change.org has got a petition going
and
for
so
us.
they could just go to change.org
and sign the petition.
Yep. Great.
Yep.
Great. Well, thank you for coming here. And you've been listening to Mesa County Compass. This is the facts as we see them, the truth as we know it. You decide.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Yeah.